All right, welcome to the Ringside Reporter post-fight show. McGregor and Mayweather, and I've got no words, man. I got to be honest. I have absolutely no words. I am speechless. I am just speechless. I cannot believe what I just saw. I can't. It's one of those things that just defy logic because you knew going into this that you were probably going to be screwed. I mean, you really did. You thought that, it's like those chances of like hitting the lottery, you know what I mean? Where you maybe it's possibly that it's going to be a good fight, but the chances are really, really slim. This was awesome. Joe, what did you think of this, man?
The expectations were so low. The thing for the curiosity factor, and I wanted to see if Conor McGregor, two things. I wanted to see if he could win rounds, and he did win rounds. And I also wanted to see if he'd go the distance. But that doesn't really matter because you know why? He won a lot of rounds. And he was actually making Floyd Mayweather miss punches. He was actually hitting Mayweather. And Max Kellerman, you were wrong because Conor McGregor did land a clean shot on Floyd Mayweather very early in the fight when he landed that uppercut that actually snapped Mayweather's head back. And I'm not going to say that Mayweather was this fight, but early on, he was being outboxed, and up until the time of that stoppage, I had the fight winning it ever so slightly, 86-85. That was a very competitive fight, and before McGregor got tired, because that was the thing, he really faded, and I'm sure the body shots and some of those right hands had something to do with it. But be that as it may, he was in this fight. I question what he said at the end of the fight because, Mayweather wound up with a right hand towards the end. And as Robert Byrd was pulling him away, if that punch landed, that could have caused serious damage to a fighter who had his hands down and who couldn't really defend himself anymore and who wasn't throwing punches. So, people criticize this card. And Oscar De La Hoya, the biggest hypocrite in the world of boxing. Meanwhile, across the street, or wherever it was in California, if you will, not across the street. When I say across the street, I mean across the street over the other network. I watched the fight because I had it on my phone, and I was watching both events at the same time. And I watched Miguel Cotto just sit there and beat a guy round after round after round.
Weak fight.
And it was, and this is the biggest hypocrite in the sport of boxing, complaining about, oh, that's not a real fight. Well, with all due respect to Kamagai, fight either, if you want to really get critical about it, because Kamagai had nothing for Cotto. Cotto was just pounding on him, and then they were trying to hype up the fight, saying, "Oh well, he's rolling these shots. How is he rolling shots when sweat's flying off his head and his head's doing almost a 360 like Linda Blair from The Exorcist? Come on, man. Come on." So there's a proved wrong. This was a good card. It was a good main event, and it was well worth my $100. And don't worry, Oscar, I'm gonna put up my 80 in 3 weeks for your event too.
Are you there, Beeb? Are you there? If you're there, you just cut out. Yeah, I tell you what, it was a crazy fight. Definitely well worth the $100 I spent on it. That's for sure. And we may have some technical difficulty here, so just All right, and we're waiting for Beeb to come back on. Can you guys in the chat hear me? If you can hear me in the chat, let me know, because I'm not sure if I'm still on or not. So just keep me posted here. And then what did you guys in the chat? What did you guys think of the fight? So, okay, great. So you guys can still hear me. Just to address some of your guys' comments on there, I don't think, I think carried is kind of a strong word. I think he started slowly. I think Mayweather, I'm speaking of, started slowly. But I think it's a strong term to say he carried him. I did think that he hurt him with that uppercut early on, and I did think that McGregor hurt him to the body. And they said it was a low blow. They didn't show the replay. The other thing that was missing from this fight was the punch stat, too. I didn't get a whole lot of the punch stats. And, the other thing was the corners. Did you guys notice this? That nothing was, as far as like the corners went, I didn't hear too much instruction coming out of Conor's, too much instruction coming out of Floyd's. There wasn't a whole lot of instruction, typically they go to the corners after each and every round and stuff like that, and you kind of hear what was going on. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So overall, though, what did you guys think? Was it an entertaining fight? Did you guys think it was an entertaining fight? Was it not an entertaining fight for you? Because I thought it was very entertaining, and not even, I think if you take it and you say, like, the bar was low, or even if you take it and say the expectations for this fight were really low, even if it was really low, even if we had a high expectation for it, I thought the fight was still good. I thought it was absolutely good. The one real takeaway I took from this was that Mayweather is a shot fighter. I don't care what you say. His legs are gone. And we've noticed this. We've talked about this too. And I talked about it leading into this, into his fight with Berto. His legs are gone. There's no, he's 40 years old, and he looked every bit of it tonight. I mean, you're looking at a guy who went 10 rounds with a guy that didn't have any professional fights. That's a big deal. Everybody was taking knockout in 6, and everything like that. I mean, this guy went like life and death with this guy for 10 rounds. And that's not Mayweather. And Mayweather came forward, and again, Conor tired about the 6th round. Mayweather came forward and, did what he had to do and ended up stopping him. I don't think it was an early stoppage at all. I know Conor complained a little bit about the stoppage, but I think in the end it was all Mayweather in that 10th round. Beeb, you back?
I'm back.
All right.
About that, my computer, can you believe it crashed? I think it has something to do with all these. I think it has something to do with all these pay-per-view buys, baby.
It's all the money.
A blue screen. I just got a blue screen on my computer. What the what's going on?
It's all the money.
I was talking shit. Shit about Oscar. What did he do? What did Oscar do?
That's right.
Oscar sabotaged me.
Golden boy.
And then it just died, man.
Golden boy gives. Golden boy takes away. What can we say?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just saying. We were talking to the people in the chat. And the listeners, I said that basically I think that a couple of takeaways I had from this fight, and the first one was that Floyd is definitely, to me anyway, he's a shot fighter. I think his legs are gone. I think, you're looking at a guy who should have wiped the floor with McGregor. Could you imagine, let me ask you this, could you imagine Errol Spence in there with McGregor? Can you imagine that?
Come on.
Really?
No.
I mean, that's Kimmy. Come on, give me a break, man. I mean, McGregor is a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. He impressed me. But can you imagine who could have imagined like Errol Spence or like one of the Charlos in there with me tonight? You kidding me? No way. Wavy Jones III is saying I'm exaggerating how washed Floyd is. No, I am not. I am not. And the other question was, did Robbie watch the fight? I have no idea. I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Listen,
but
21 years old. Can he still beat fighters? Yeah. Can he beat Errol Spence right now? I say no.
I don't know
if
he beats anybody in the top 5.
Yeah, can he beat Keith Thurman right now? I doubt it.
Could you imagine
Sean Porter, I doubt it.
No way.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say something controversial. Manny Pacquiao beats Jeff Horn. They're both pretty much at the same point in their careers, Pacquiao and Mayweather. That wouldn't be a bad matchup. You know, I mean, if he can get
Pacquiao
another one,
and Floyd?
yeah.
No,
I know people say they don't want to see it again, but I don't know, man. I think if they promote it right, they could get it done, and I think people would be interested in it.
And I'm gonna tell you right now,
I'm a loser.
Floyd and Wavy Jones III says that he beats Danny Garcia. I'm telling you right now, there's no way Floyd beats Danny. He doesn't beat any top 5 guy. You saw his legs tonight. His legs are gone. His legs are gone, son. There's nothing there for him.
Is this we've set the bar so high for Floyd. Right. You know, we have certain expectations for him and of him. And we're seeing this new young crop of welterweights right now, and they're really making some noise. Spence can punch, man. He can punch. So, you know, Floyd Mayweather, you know, he was actually missing shots tonight. And the thing is, you have to ask yourself this. And again, you can play the game of what ifs if you want. It doesn't really matter. But you have to ask yourself this. If McGregor doesn't get tired, I'm sure that, you know, him being hurt had something to do with it. But I think it's a combination of him not being able to or not being used to going 36 minutes in a fight and only going 25 minutes. Right. But if he doesn't get tired, you have to ask yourself something. You know, what happens? But, you know, the scorecards were wide anyway, so Mayweather
the scorecards were terrible. The scorecards
were. Man. I mean, I thought it was a 1-point fight for Mayweather, possibly 2.
For sure. Yeah, those scorecards were terrible. I was sitting there, and me and Beeb texted each other during this fight. It was 3-0. After that third round, I had it about 3-0. And I'm like wondering what in the world am I in like bizarro world or what? I had no idea what's going on. I have no idea why Floyd's not throwing any punches. He's just getting, you know, he's basically there. I mean,
a quick question. How did you score the 8th round? Because that was a close round.
Let me see what I had. I believe I had it Mayweather, but let me see here.
McGregor.
Yeah,
that's why I had a
Mayweather. Was that the round he got hurt to the body?
Mayweather got hurt to the body or McGregor?
Mayweather. It was.
Yeah, that was around. That was the round he got hit.
That was the round he got hit with the body shot, and I
didn't think it was low. I didn't think it was low.
I didn't think it was low either. Neither did the announcers, and he turned his back on him for like the second or third time. What was with Floyd constantly turning his back on this guy?
Yeah, and again, that has to do with timing. I mean, when you're not able to read the guy, I mean, I'm you know, he did have his timing down to some degree toward the end, but at some points in this fight, confused, I think, with Conor McGregor's movement, the way he was jumping from side to side. I don't think he anticipated it. So when McGregor jumped to the side and actually turned inward as he jumped, he didn't just jump off to the side. He jumped off to the side and kind of toward the side of Mayweather almost. And then Mayweather was like moving forward. So then he was like, this guy's behind me. So he's trying to turn around so he could face him, I guess. And it just looked like he was turning his back. It was really weird. And it was just really awkward. So it was just crazy. The way some of those movements were. And Mayweather just was, I think, until he started teeing off.
And I got to be honest, I didn't view it as that awkward. I didn't think it was that. I didn't think his movement was that awkward. I thought the way he held his hands, he held them in like that, like a karate style almost. It wasn't a traditional boxing stance or whatever, but I didn't think his movement. I mean, again, I'm not in there with him, obviously, but he looked like he was moving pretty well. You know what? Some of the best parts were when Floyd tried to clinch him, and I was like, that's just the wrong game to play. I mean, that's what he does for a living. You know, McGregor's going to clinch. You're not going to win that fight. You're not going to win that game. You know, and I think he tried to Floyd at one point, try to throw his elbow in his chin or whatever, and Conor just shrugged it off. It was no big deal. He knows how to deal with that stuff. I mean, that's kind of what he does. But, you know, if he doesn't run out of gas, you got to wonder, man. I mean, because Floyd wasn't doing much in that fight. And then Somebody in the chat said, well, Floyd was just walking forward. That's right. That's all, because he has no legs. He's got no legs.
But we have to also ask ourselves, did Floyd just fight this way? Because there was times like in other words, when Floyd fought Cotto, we're gone there. Time the Showtime deal, then all of a sudden against Guerrero, he moved very well. So is this basically a I'm sure it's somewhat of a physiological thing. There's no question about that. A physical thing. I'm sure there's no question about that. But how much of this was game plan too? Because against Cotto, people said he lost a step there. His legs were gone. Some people even said that Cotto won the fight at all. But obviously, he had a lot more success than most people thought he would. I thought Mayweather was going to stop him. That was my pick before the fight. I thought Cotto won going in. But how much of this was just Mayweather's approach to McGregor, and how much of it was just him not, being Mayweather? I'm sure some of it had to do with being, Mayweather. But could he have fought this fight differently? And did he really? Obviously, it looks like he really did want to make a statement. It looked like he was going for the knockout from the 5th round on. So again, a lot of this we could attribute to strategy as well, right or wrong.
You know what? I disagree. I felt for a long time, and I said this earlier, I felt for a long time that Floyd was definitely losing steps. His legs weren't there. You could always see when a fighter slows down. I saw it, where I noticed it too, like with Pernell Whitaker's career. Notice he stands when when you watch his earlier fights, like against Azuma Nelson and stuff, he's all over that ring, man. And the same thing with Floyd. Floyd, he was all over the ring earlier on in his career. And when he starts, the excuse that you always hear is, well, we want to give the fans what they want to see. We want to go toe to toe. That's code for my legs are gone. All right. And I can't carry this pace anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's a high pace to set. I just, I hope this is the last time we see him, because if he comes back against anybody with any kind of class, any kind of top 5 guy, I think Andre Berto would beat him tonight.
Don't go that far. Because Andre Berto's shop 1-2. Let me ask everyone in the chat right now. If Manny Pacquiao beats Jeff Horn in the rematch, I think in November, it's anticipated that fight will be potentially in November. Manny Pacquiao beats Jeff Horn and looks pretty decent. Would you guys buy a Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather 2? I'm going to pose that question. Would you buy it, Eric?
I would not. I would not.
Wow.
No,
I'm going to say
I would buy it because I bought this fight.
I mean, if you bought this fight, of course you're going to buy that fight. That's not. Because I'm going to tell you this now. The reason why that fight is much better than the first one is both guys can't move like they used to.
Yeah.
So both guys are gonna be somewhat stationary. Both guys are gonna have dulled reflexes. Because of that, you may see them hit each other a lot more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Pacquiao, I don't buy the shoulder. I suspect the shoulder was injured to some degree. Was it a torn rotator cuff like Skip Bayless said? Absolutely not, because he wouldn't be able to put his arm up like that.
He had surgery for it. He had surgery for it.
Yeah, I don't know if he had surgery.
Yeah, I don't know if he had surgery. That was right afterward. They confirmed it.
Okay, but let me ask you this. This is the thing. Was it just orthoscopic surgery where they just clean it out? Or was it torn to the degree where they had to tack it down?
That I don't.
See, that's the thing now. Right. I suspect it was injured, but if it was injured as bad as he said, if you have a torn rotator cuff, Eric, you can't throw a hook. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a torn labrum in my right shoulder. But it's not bad enough for surgery.
Right.
But it's still injured. It's still a deficient shoulder. So what I'm saying is, obviously that shoulder is going to be better than it was. Was it as injured to the degree that it was implied? I don't think it was, but that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. But at the end of the day, you got a Mayweather who can't move like he used to, so he's going to be less mobile. And you're going to have a Pacquiao who supposedly is going to have, a healthy shoulder. So the fight could shape up to be better. And they could promote the fight. Well, you know what? We screwed up the first time. We won't screw up this time. Pacquiao could say, I'll bring the fight to him now because my shoulder is 100%. I'm 100%. We both aren't the same fighter we were 2 years ago. But you know what? I'd buy it. I think it would be a better fight.
Well, and two, there was a lot of rumors coming into this fight that Floyd didn't train like he should have.
Yeah.
And that he was out of the gym and everything like that. And I think, again, man, I think age has definitely caught up with him. Age has clearly caught up with Pacquiao. Pacquiao, we've been talking about, has been fading for a long time. I thought Pacquiao was faded when he went to that first fight with Floyd. But, overall, man, I think that as far as a May-Pac 2, I don't know.
Teddy Atlas is on ESPN right now. Teddy Atlas is on ESPN right now making an ass of himself.
What would he say?
I almost want to unmute the television. I should put this on closed caption so I can read it.
Yeah.
He's sitting there screaming. Him and Stephen A. Smith. Let me unmute this for just 2 seconds. Let me see what he's saying. Oh my God.
Oh, wait.
He's sitting there screaming. Floyd's eating it. He's eating it. Meaning, I guess he's eating punches. Oh my God. This is so crazy.
It's your boy, Teddy Atlas.
Teddy Atlas. What a nut. This guy is out of control.
You're the fireman. We go where the heat's going to go. How could you not like that? How could you not like Teddy Atlas?
Oh, I can't stand it.
We're firemen. Take it where the heat is.
I don't know. Now there's people in the chat saying that Floyd carried him.
I don't believe that, man. I don't think so. I don't think he carried him at all. And Floyd can talk about, you know what? Let me tell you this. Because my dad said the same thing. He didn't say he carried him, but my dad said the same thing. He said, we were talking about it. He said, well, Floyd said he let him win the early rounds, or that he wanted to start slow and let him. Let me tell you something. There's a strategy. Listen, when you start slow, nobody purposely gives away rounds. Nobody does. You don't want to lose any rounds. That's the purpose of it. And he threw 0 punches in those first few rounds. I mean, none. I mean, his punch output was non-existent. Nothing. But
Ray Leonard said this once to me. I interviewed Ray Leonard way back when, about 3 years ago. And he said to me, you could be in the best physical condition in your life, but if you're fighting, like when he fought Kevin Howard, for instance, he's used to fighting Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran. So then he's got Kevin Howard across the ring from him. He signs the card. I'm fighting Kevin Howard. There's no way in hell you can train for a guy mentally the same way. Like, you can't train the same as you would Tommy Hearns when you're fighting Kevin Howard. So there's no way mentally Floyd Mayweather can enter this fight with Conor McGregor, a guy who's 0-0 in the boxing ring, right? He can't train the same way and have the same mentality. I'm not going to say the fear, but the concern is not the same. And, the preparation mentally is not the same as for a Manny Pacquiao. So there is going to be a mental letdown. There's just no question about that. That's human nature.
Right.
And how much of that, again, I'm not going to make excuses, but it's just the human nature. How much of that played an effect in what we saw tonight in Floyd Mayweather? Because physically he looked like $1 million. He didn't look tired. Looked like he was off a little bit with his reflexes. He was missing shots. And I was shocked seeing Conor McGregor slip punches. I was like, oh my God, he's actually slipping punches.
Oh, he did very well.
I didn't expect that. And, there's no way to fake that. Like, if you're carrying somebody and he's slipping, like, Mayweather was throwing, legitimate quick punches at him, and he was slipping shots. He was moving his head. You know what I'm saying? And he was actually creating, good punching angles for himself.
Mm-hmm. And the question,
and he snapped Mayweather's head back. He snapped Mayweather's head back
a couple of times. Yeah.
And again, it wasn't a punch that really hurt because it had a lot of arm to it. Didn't really sit down and bend his knee and torque his hip into it. But, it still landed. And it was clean. So, punch landed. I tweeted to Max Keller. I was like, Max, you were wrong. McGregor just landed a clean punch because he was saying he wasn't going to land a clean punch.
S1 in the chat is saying that what was the adjustment? He walked him down the entire fight. I don't know what fight you were watching. He walked him down the second half of the fight, and he actually didn't walk him, and he actually didn't walk him down. He was actually being circled. If you watched it, he was actually being circled. And as we were watching the fight, I said, you know what? He's not backing up. He's circling, and there's a difference. I mean, he's backing up, obviously, but he's circling, and that's a difference. That's the kind of thing that Pernell Whitaker did with Julio Cesar Chavez. Chavez is coming forward, but he's forcing him to box in circles. He's turning his guy. And in McGregor's case, he wasn't exactly turning him, but he was walking in circles. He was walking backwards, no question, but he was more circling him than anything else. So, yeah, I mean, and as far as, like I said, him carrying him, no, nobody carried anybody here. I mean, watch the fight. They were both putting in shots. Watch the fight. He was not being carried here. You don't just give away rounds. Again, guys, you just don't give away rounds. Even if part of your strategy is to start slow, you're not giving away rounds. That's not part of the strategy.
Well, let me ask you this, because people are going to talk about this fight for a couple of weeks now.
Sure.
And the narrative was, if McGregor distance, it's a loss for boxing. But you know what? The way this fight played out and the way it ended, it was 10 rounds, so it was a good amount of time that we got our money's worth for. I still think at the end of the day that there was no losers here. McGregor was winning rounds. McGregor held his own. I think McGregor made a good account of himself. And would you buy McGregor Malignaggi on pay-per-view after this?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I totally would. I would love. He can't go anywhere but up. Too, so, I mean, he really can't. Yeah. He can't go anywhere but up.
So this was a win. This was still a win-win for the UFC, because think about it. Over. And again, James Toney was with all due respect to him, he was a bad, representative for us, because he was in his 40s. So he was 40, 41 or whatever. 42-ish, if I'm not mistaken. Grossly out of shape. And he went over and he was tapped, almost instantaneously in the first round. Now, McGregor came over. He won rounds. He was losing the fight only by a point going into the 10th round on my scorecard.
Mine too.
Okay.
Steve Farhood also.
And Steve Farhood's also. So he made a hell of an account for himself. And he has nothing, as you said when you text me, he has nothing to hang his head about.
No.
This was great. This was still a performance in which he overachieved, in my opinion. And he has nothing to hang his head about. I mean, think about it, making your pro debut against the best boxer of our era. I don't give a fuck what anyone says, man. No. Excuse my language for the kids out there. I don't give a fuck what anyone says out there, man. This fight exceeded expectations, in my opinion. And it was definitely a very entertaining fight. And I take my hat off to Conor McGregor. Balls to do what he did. And of course he got paid a lot of money for it.
Right.
But you know what? You could tell he trained hard for this fight.
He put the work in.
You could tell that he wanted to win. Now, when James Toney went to the UFC, and again, I hate to dump on James Toney because he's a legendary boxer. He's gonna be a Hall of Fame in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
For a paycheck. Okay. Evident that he didn't train when you looked at his belly.
Let's give it. I mean, but in defense of James Toney, though, it's not like James Toney was fighting Chuck Liddell over there, who's a stand-up guy. He was fighting Randy Couture, Olympic athlete, Olympic wrestler. So you knew if Couture got a hold of you, you're going to the ground. That's it. And Toney never fought on the ground. He's not going to be competitive on the ground. I don't care how much you trained. Nothing's going to prepare you for an Olympic boxer or Olympic wrestler. At that high, when you're that high of a wrestler, man.
And here's another thing too, just to stay on this point, because all of the and again, I understand you're pulling for your guy, whatever, but they were so upset that people who are boxing fans who watch the sport religiously for years and years and years, they were upset that we would say, oh, Mayweather's going to win. There's no way Mayweather's there's no way Mayweather can lose this fight. There's no way that a lot of people were saying that there's no way McGregor makes it the distance, whatever. And MMA fans are getting upset about that. Toney went over. Win. I said that Randy Couture is going to beat him in 1 round. So like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, you know, these sports are different, but Conor McGregor definitely showed that, you know, he could hang Survivor era, you know, even though he wasn't in his prime, but he hung in there for 10 rounds and he made a good account of himself. You could take that and and everyone can walk away happy with that. If you're an MMA fan, if you're a boxing fan, I think everyone wins here. So, you know, this event proved that, yeah, sports.
Right.
They're 2 different sports. That you know, and that's all this event really proved. But all in all, regardless of that, I felt like I got my money's worth tonight.
Oh, it was awesome. It was an awesome fight. I mean, it was a competitive fight. And Hand Reps is in the chat. He says, how could Conor have done well? He lost, you know, he got TKO'd. I mean, of course he did well. Of course he did well. I mean, he took the best fighter, you know, the former best fighter in the world, you know, he went, you know, life and death with him for 10 rounds. That's a big deal. In his first professional fight, that's not an accomplishment. That's huge. Now, whether McGregor looks at it as accomplishment of one thing or, you know, but I mean, to me, that's a win, man. I don't know. And he was winning rounds and it was competitive. It was a close fight, 86-85 at the time of the stoppage on Beeb's scorecard, my scorecard, Steve Farhood's scorecard. We had it much closer than the judges had. The judges were way out of whack, I thought. That's a win. I mean, that's a win for McGregor. I mean, and, you know, look, I mean, we're not talking about Mayweather's performance. I mean, we're not. I mean, and this is what I told my dad after the show, or after the fight. I said, you know, McGregor won this fight. He won this event, you know, in the sense that we're going to be talking about him and how well he did in this fight. Floyd's performance wasn't great. The one big takeaway. That's the one big takeaway that I got in this whole thing was that Floyd, you know, I don't want to see him fight again, because if he fights anybody with any kind of class, he's going to get demolished. You know, I don't want to see Floyd fight again, man. You don't want to see it.
Let's look at what McGregor did with some, you know, with other, you know, Mayweather opponents did. Now, Andre Berto, I don't think he won a round against Floyd. No. Canelo Alvarez, I gave him 1 round against Floyd. A novice with no fights won 4 rounds against Floyd, and was actually, and the thing is this, he won the first 3 rounds. Okay, he overachieved. He even though he got knocked out in the 10th round, he still overachieved, and he still, you know, for as long as it lasted, in my opinion, and Hand Reps is 100% correct. At the end of the day, he got knocked out.
Yeah,
but it was a TKO.
For sure.
But then there's no refuting that. So in essence, if you look at it that way, at least they went the distance. But those other guys, more or less, kind of went into survival mode, whereas this guy tried to win. Okay, and I'm not saying when I say survival mode, it's they mentally checked out of the fight. Basically, you could see the frustration on their faces. They stopped trying as hard as they, you know, due to frustration. Later on in the fight, they stopped trying as hard. Later on in the fight, they didn't finish the fight the same way they started. They were mentally fatigued, and they just basically, their output went down. They stopped throwing punches, and they were just basically going into survival mode. This guy, you know, for the 10 rounds he lasted, tried to win from the start of the fight till that point. Mentally, he kept trying to win, and by him trying to win, he went on, he went on his shield, not on his back, but he went on his shield.
Yeah.
So if you want to lose going on your shield, check out of the fight and just basically submit that way. Because look what Shane Mosley did. I mean, and again, this is with all due respect to all these athletes, because it's, again, you know, you can lose, you can get broken down physically, and you can get broken down mentally. This guy has the ability to do both to you, and he did that. You know, he did that to all those other guys. So he ultimately, in the end, he did that to McGregor too, but it took him longer to do that against McGregor than he did against those other guys, because you could tell after the second round, Shane Mosley was done. He was, he just mentally checked out. Same thing with Canelo. He was just he just was so uncomposed, so frustrated. Robert Guerrero, same thing. These guys just basically were giving away rounds. Like they have to do with Floyd, instilled that doubt in them. Whereas this kid didn't have that doubt. McGregor didn't have that doubt in him. And he had to be, separated from his senses for that doubt, to be instilled. Like the doubt still wasn't there, in other words. So the only way he was going to lose this fight was getting knocked out, because he was going to keep trying to win. Where those other guys, they psychologically they just were beaten. They couldn't win.
Right.
That's different in my opinion. Whether that means anything to anybody or not, means something to me. I saw a guy overachieve, and I saw a guy who was winning he was winning. And I saw a guy, last time I saw Mayweather behind in a fight, I think it was the Zab Judah fight where he gave up rounds. And even the Maidana fight was competitive, and I had him winning that fight like 7-5. The fight was kind of nip and tuck all the way. I never see it like last time I seen someone like win 3 or 4 rounds in a row against Floyd was Zab Judah. And you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Fern Gully for boxing. He says that. Well, I guess we're giving awards now for trying or whatever. Something. It was something along that.
I'm giving an award for trying. Yeah,
100%.
Tonight I am. Tonight I am.
100%.
Tonight I am giving an award for trying, because
if you
did better than what I thought.
I mean,
so yeah, tonight we are
where credit's due. I mean, I doubled down on mine, and I said that Floyd is going to kill this guy, and I'll double it down. I said Conor will not win 1 minute of any round, and I couldn't have been more wrong. I said I couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, he won rounds. And when people were saying, Brendan Schaub was a big one, Conor supporter, and he says, Conor's going to win rounds here. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way Conor's going to win rounds, plural. He'll be lucky to win 1 round. He'll be lucky to hit him clean. He'll be lucky to insert the blank. I said,
Kellerman.
No way.
I was with Kellerman. I didn't think he was going to win a clean punch, and I didn't think he was going to win rounds. I'm speaking the way I'm speaking. And if anyone, and the person, awards for trying hard, did you think he was going to do as good as he did? Answer the question, yes or no. Did you think he was going to land clean shots? Do you think he was going to win rounds?
And
I gave him, I thought he was going to win 1 round in this fight.
Right.
If that.
And
he won 4.
I mean, were you seriously not impressed with what happened there?
He won more rounds than Canelo.
Right.
Oh, in my opinion, he won more rounds. He won more rounds than Guerrero, and he won more rounds than Berto. And these guys who've been boxing their whole lives. So again, he got stopped. That's fine.
Right.
But he still overachieved, and he still made a good account of himself.
Right.
And if you don't want to give the guy credit, you don't have to. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm going to respectfully disagree with anyone that doesn't give the guy credit for this performance.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I mean, listen. I mean, what did you think of Floyd's performance? Because I thought his performance, quite honestly, was not good.
Well, the thing is, but this is the thing too.
He didn't look great. He didn't move well. He wasn't moving his head. He wasn't throwing a lot of punches. And you walk down a guy with 0 professional fights.
Thing though, from the 4th round on, he took charge. And then I actually thought McGregor came back a little bit in the 8th, but then in the 9th, that's when he really got hurt. And I think some of that fatigue and some of the him being broken down in the 9th, I think that carried over into the 10th, and that's why we got what we got. So
S1 is in the chat saying that I always have something negative to say about Floyd. That's not true at all. I thought he was going to win the fight. I did. I picked him.
Well, you got to be able. You got to be able. Yeah, you got to be able to criticize anybody. No one's perfect. I mean,
right? We're not fanboys here, man. We tell the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, we tell the truth here. Listen. I know what I saw. You know what you saw. I mean, it's, we watched the fight. Did you watch the fight? I think that's what you have to ask yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, can you say that this Floyd Mayweather goes out and beats Errol Spence? Does this Floyd Mayweather go out and beat Terrence Crawford? Does this Floyd Mayweather go out and beat any of the top welterweights out there?
And this fight did have some similarities to the Judah fight. Judah fight was Judah, once Floyd started walking him down, started breaking him down on the body and blooding up his face, survival mode. And he was holding on for dear life in a lot of rounds. That this guy, and again, this is not a knock on Zab Judah. Zab Judah is an outstanding boxer. But again, this guy didn't do that. This guy didn't do that. He kept fighting to the end, or tried to keep fighting to the end. Gotta give him credit. Gotta give him credit.
Yeah, and he says that Floyd would fight any of the top 5 the same way. Then he's going to get
no, he would no, he wouldn't
get beat.
No, he would. No, he wouldn't. There's no way he's going to try and walk down. He didn't try and walk down Manny Pacquiao.
No.
So why would he try and walk down Errol Spence?
Right. Exactly.
Come on, got it out. Yeah, he's going to try and walk down Errol Spence.
He went straight at him and wore him down. Let me tell you what, Conor was exhausted. I'll tell you what, Conor was exhausted. We noticed this as we're watching right around the 5th round. You started to notice him slowing down, and his punches didn't have that same snap on him. You know what I mean? They were definitely slower. He was connecting. He was winning. I thought, he would win some rounds, but they didn't have that. They didn't have that same snap on him. And right around the 6th round, we noticed he was he was exhausted. And come the 9th round, we knew he was done.
You know what Jason Shaw said to me, and I found this astounding. He was saying that I guess people were trying to buy the pay-per-view, but only standard definition was available.
What?
At some point, I guess they is that possible where you just they just don't have the capabilities to give you HD because so many paper. Could that happen?
Maybe it happened. I don't know.
I guess there was some glitches with the UFC app too. I guess people were buying them, but they couldn't get reception. I guess some cable went down. Because when there's a huge influx of pay-per-view buys, Dana was even talking about this, how sometimes the system just shuts down. I think this is going to be a big one. I think this is going to be a big one. I think it breaks Pacquiao's record. I think this got to break the Pacquiao record. Yeah, for sure. I think this is going to be a big one. I think so. So let me ask you guys this though: was this a better fight than the Pacquiao fight? Oh, without question, without question. I mean, everybody said, yeah, definitely, and that's what we're seeing kind of across the board. Is that definitely got my money's worth? Was definitely entertained. That kind of thing. I know I was entertained. And we'll talk about the undercard more tomorrow on the show and everything. But yeah, I thought it was a great fight, man. I thought it was really good. I thought it was very entertaining. Was it, will it go down as Ali Frazier? No, but it was definitely entertaining, man. It's just great when you have expectations, or I should say, you have low expectations, and your expectations are exceeded. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with that? So yeah, Pac versus Horn was a better fight than May-Pac. Yeah, I can't agree with you more. It absolutely was. Let me ask one more question in the chat. How many people bought this pay-per-view, and how many people streamed it? And again, I don't work for the FBI, so I can't get you in trouble. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know that. How many people bought it, and how many people streamed it? There was a few in here that I saw streamed it or whatever. Yeah. But let me ask you, Beeb, what do you think now after seeing this fight? And it was an entertaining fight. What's more entertaining? What's going to be more entertaining, this fight or Canelo Triple G? I have high expectations for Canelo Triple G, but I'm going to tell you this. Now, we saw how Danny Jacobs and Triple G played out. That was a chess match. Yeah. Did I like it? Yes. Did I have any complaints? No. Did I have a fight of the year type fight? Absolutely not. So this is what usually happens when you have two guys who can punch a little bit, two guys who are pretty much highly skilled. This is what I'm saying, that Canelo Golovkin could turn out to be a chess match, because think about how Canelo approached that Janey Jacobs fight. He didn't throw a lot of punches. He respected Daniel Jacobs' power, and I think the size and the speed were a problem for him. Now, Canelo doesn't have the fastest feet in the world, but he's got pretty quick hands. Canelo's a good counterpuncher. Is Triple G going to try to go in there and right off the bat grind him down? He could approach the fight the same way he approached David Lemieux, and that was a very tactical fight for as long as it lasted, until David Lemieux started getting one down from the shots from the outside. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Canelo Golovkin fight turns out to be a chess match. And because everyone is so excited about it, and they're saying it's going to be a war, a lot of times when you promote fights to be wars, you set the bar high right off the bat, and if it's anything less than a war, there's going to be a letdown. Whereas this fight was a joke. It was supposed to be a farce. It was supposed to be one-sided. Conor McGregor was supposed to not land a clean punch. Conor McGregor was not supposed to win a round. Those things were proven, wrong. So now you flip the coin and go to the other side of the spectrum, where the expectations are here for this fight, where they were down here for this fight. So, if the fight turns out to be somewhere around down here, that's still good, but it's still not up here where the expectations are. So I don't know. I'm hoping that the fight turns out to be a great fight, but I could see the potential for it not to be a great fight, because these two are going to respect each other a lot.
Yeah.
They're going to be concerned. They're going to be concerned with each other's power, each other's skill set. So it's going to be interesting.
I think so too. And I think it has on paper, it's a great fight. You want to see it. But yeah, I mean, it has that potential to just be, if we asked them what was more entertaining, Golovkin Jacobs or this one, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I like fights like that. I like fights like Golovkin Jacobs.
I do too.
I like the chess matches. I like stuff like that. But you're looking at, I think people, overall with this pay-per-view, I think they're going to be satisfied. I don't think anybody's going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, God, I just wasted the money on this. I don't think anybody came away from this saying I wasted my money on this. I think they were all entertained, I thought it was good. So there you have it. That's our post-fight. That's our post-fight review. And make sure to tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time on ringsidereporter.com or beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com, and catch our live show. And that way you guys can call in. We could talk about the fight. And if you disagreed with anything we have here, you call in tomorrow. Let us know, man. Let us know. And
all right, guys.
Hash it out.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And all you haters, all I can do is laugh at you. This fight was good. It was a good fight, man.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome.
All right. Peace, everyone. Take care.
Out.